We're there now. We might even be live now, Michelle, I think, if we're lucky enough. But ladies and gents, welcome to another edition of Naked Passion Podcast. Got a very special guest this evening joining us. We've got Michelle Cozzi, is the Director of Elowyn, where Michelle and her team help individuals and business owners understand their accounting and financial position, grow their businesses, and learn how to set themselves up for the lifestyle they desire. Michelle, welcome first of all.
Thank you.
I did want to point out, I got this off your LinkedIn and I thought this was sensational. So you've got a line there.
Jeez, I haven't been on there in ages. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's it's wonderful. So it says, it is my biggest hope that I am able to combine my professional and ethical studies in a way that is also empathetic and compassionate to help my clients feel supported in their business and or working career. Yeah. I thought that was really beautiful.
Yeah. Actually, I had a friend help me word that one out. Yeah. I mean, she's a friend, she's a colleague, she's worked for me. We were trying to define who I was in what I do, and that's what came out.
I like that. Well, yeah, as I said, it definitely stood out for myself. So I thought you nailed that. So let's start off with Michelle. What is the most exciting thing happening in your world right now?
Not necessarily something that's exciting, but my world has kind of imploded this year.
Yep.
I have been in hospital for burnout. I have left my marriage of 15 years, 20 plus years together.
Yep.
And my business partner handed back her interest in the business after 12 months. And that has all happened between March and June.
That's a
right
lot, yeah.
At the part of the year that's not very busy for us at all. Yeah. So
that's a lot to unpack.
Yes.
I missed it, but I do apologize. Let's jump into your two truths and a lie, because I feel that if we were to jump into some of that, I think some of these might come out and I might get a little tip across the line there. So we've got a great tradition on the show. All our fantastic guests send me two truths and a lie, and Michelle has sent through that Michelle has been sacked whilst pregnant. That's wild in itself. Michelle was at work when she went into labour, and Michelle bought her practice before her daughter turned 1. So I'm going to lock in, you bought your practice before your daughter turned 1. I'm going to lock that in as a truce.
Yep.
And then I'm going to flip a coin here, and I'm going to go, hopefully, this is more into hoping humanity is still somewhat there. I'm going to say the other truth is that you were at work when you went into labour and you did not get sacked while you were pregnant. How did I go?
I was sacked while I was pregnant.
Oh, no. No.
So it literally leads into the why I bought my practice before my daughter was 1.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us about that.
So the guy I bought my practice from, who's actually who I started working with in 2002. So I started journalism at uni. I wanted to be a journalist. I really hated doing all the work to be a journalist and all the things that need to be. Like, I loved studies of societies and things like that, but no, just going through the university process of it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So I finished, I stopped uni and took a year off and got a job in an accounting practice. So that became, it started as just office administration, but very quickly it was bookkeeping work. It was following book procedures and things like that. Within 12 months, I'd started doing like basic tax work or just inputting what was needed by the other accountants. And so I made the decision to start doing it part-time at university and work full-time. So I actually, and the benefit of having done that year of uni was that I could use some of those classes as credits, because I had already done like a couple of second year subjects and things like that already as well. And I got my part-time degree done in 4 years instead of 6.
That's awesome.
In 2007, I finished that and have been being an accountant ever since. So
that's brilliant.
21 years now. I'm 21, yeah.
And you've had a lot going in the last 3 months.
Yes. I mean, I have a lot going on in my life, like we all do, really.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's been with its challenges. So in 2011, when were the floods? The first floods were 2011, yeah. So in 2011, I finished up working for the guy who I started with, and went to a firm in Spring Hill. So I was there for 12 months before, 18 months before I fell pregnant with my daughter. And I basically told them straight away, and then they did a restructure, and I was one of the underperformers. So I left there.
Yeah.
And worked with another colleague for a little bit part-time while I was going through the rest of my pregnancy. And the going into labour from at work wasn't too far from the truth, because I did actually work up until the Friday before I had my daughter.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. So about, I'm going to go with she was about 6 months old. About February 2014, my old boss gives me a call and says, you know, look, I'm actually ready to retire. Do you want to come and buy half the practice, and then we'll see how a couple of years goes and you can buy the rest?
Yeah.
So I did.
Nice.
And that was, we changed over in July 1st of July 2014, as you do as accountants. Especially tax accountants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. She was 10 months old. So that's, she, you know, I've been doing it ever since. 9 years. Lots of different phases. You know, lots of tough moments.
So that's a huge jump, right? That's a big leap of faith. I love that. So you thought, stuff it. I've got the skill set. I've got the knowledge. I'm gonna jump out my own 2 feet and just sort of see what happens. So how did you, I guess, successfully navigate, I guess, the thought process to lead you to the decision to make that leap of faith and buy the business? Did you have any sort of concerns? Like, how was that process?
Oh, I mean, there's definitely a massive, massive difference between working as an accountant and running an accounting practice. And to this day, still sometimes it's like, oh, fuck, I've got to do this. Like, you know, like I'm managing myself and my client and ATO expectations, as well as trying to create a beautiful business that can support all these things and my staff and stuff like that. When I started, I don't think I quite realized how hard actually doing the business part of it is. And it's what I say to a lot of people now. I'm like, you will find out who you truly are when you are in business. You will find out every little part of you, every little part of you that is insecure, every little part of you that needs growth, that needs development, that needs education. You will find all of these things, and they will test you through your whole ride.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite questions, right? And I need to find out where I got this from. It was probably Tim Ferriss, it just stuck with me. Question goes a little something like this. What is one thing you know now that you wish you knew before starting your business?
That it's going to be really hard.
Yeah. They don't have that on the flyer.
And it will challenge everything about you and the relationships that you have.
Yeah.
And that's talking from probably business owner perspective, as opposed to just being an accountant perspective. Because I have lots of hats. I'm a staff manager. I'm an accountant. I'm a business owner. I'm a tenant. I've got all of those things. I'm a mum. I was a wife. I've had business partners. It tests every single one of those relationships. It is hard.
I've heard a lot of people speak to the idea of having seasons in business.
100%.
That's a nice reaction. Talk me through that. What does that mean for you?
In all honesty, I think that the seasons come with how much you're being honest with yourself about where you are right now.
Okay.
So if you're believing in yourself, if you're trusting your own gut, if you are enacting on your own beliefs and values, whether that be personally or in business, you will be in a good season.
Yeah.
If you are not paying attention to your mental health, if you are not looking after yourself, your stuff, your financials, you will be in a bad season. So you have to do the work on you to be in a good season. It won't just happen.
And what has worked for you? The idea of, especially in 2023, right? Everyone's we're all trying to make up lost ground, I guess, in some capacity, or at least that seems to be the narrative for a lot of people. So I guess, what does the idea of mental health and looking after yourself look like for you? What's worked for you so far, Michelle?
So obviously at the start of the year, complete and total burnout. I was in hospital, incapable of I would sit in front of my computer and physically not be able to do anything. Just could not get the brain to work.
Wow.
So for me, it was that 2 weeks in hospital, because I didn't have to think about anyone else but myself in that time. It was all about getting me better. And in that, I reestablished my value systems. And that's helped a lot, because I wasn't really living to a value system. So I never knew what I would like. I wasn't in a part of my life where I knew when I was going good.
Okay.
Because I was just doing what had to be done to get through every day. And not, one of my biggest values is curiosity. So there was no part of my life that I was finding new things or exploring or taking adventures and things like that. One of my other biggest values is honesty. And, I wasn't being true to myself, and I wasn't able to communicate my needs to those around me. which meant I wasn't being honest with them because, I ended up in hospital and I was sick and I couldn't express that to them, because I wasn't being honest with myself about how bad it actually was.
Okay.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Like it's
Were
a lot.
you? How? And I guess I'm curious. Like the 2 weeks in hospital, like was that a scary sort of situation? Did it take you a few days or a week to sort of think, well, hang on, I've got to your point, get back to my values and live through them? Or what did that part look like?
I was really fortunate in that, like in the hospitals, they don't do a lot on the weekends. So I think I went in on a Friday, could have been a Thursday. So there was not a lot going on in my first few days. So it was really just hang out in my room, do a bit of like coloring in, or I think I took my daughter's dancing costumes in with me so I could do some stuff on them because she was coming up to competitions and things. Which is, again, another thing I've reconnected to that I enjoy doing, because I had the time and space to do it. And, in hospital, I worked with a psychologist. We worked through, and we'd go to sessions about, trying to think what some of them are. It's like stuff along the line of self-compassion and, and doing values work and how to reduce stress and things like that, like things that you should do, but they made you make the time to do them. So
Cool.
you kind of reestablish the patterns in your day-to-day life for doing those things. If you're in a stressful moment, stop, stand up, walk away, or stop, take a breath, or stop, have a drink of water. Do things to break the pattern of the hard thing that you're doing. So, So I came out with a lot of really great tools, and a diagnosis. I have OCD. So
nice.
Fun times.
Did they obviously had resources there. Did they suggest anyone to sort of, how does it work? Do they say, hey, listen, follow this person on YouTube? Or is it more like, here's some books and brochures?
There was definitely that. Like there's probably a lot of that stuff more came along the lines of, here's the resource to go to for mental health, like meditations and stuff like that. And I think one of the ones that actually had some really good resources was the University of Western Sydney.
Good people.
Yeah. So like there's a whole bunch of free resources they had on their website that they were using there at the hospital as well. So
that's cool.
Doing things like that. And then obviously connecting with a psychologist when I came back out of hospital again, and I've been working with her since then as well.
Yeah.
So,
you can definitely sort of feel and see the destigmatization. I think that's the word, Michelle. I could be wrong. Of mental health and even the labeling of it. I think it'll change to like brain health at some point. I've heard other people try and introduce that. So it's been what do you say? It's been a positive thing to sort of witness, and people are being more conscious and more curious as to, okay, well, this is obviously something massive that affects every single person. So what are the exercises and best practices that we can do to look after our own mental health or brain health? It's definitely becoming a much louder conversation. It's not really one that's had, one-on-one behind closed doors too much anymore. Like I've heard it in the lunchroom sometimes. So we're definitely being directionally positive with that. At least it feels like small steps.
It does. And like I have staff members who have to see psychologists as well because of, you know, things that they've experienced working in other accounting practices, and stuff that and challenges that they have in their own life too. And like essentially we have a policy of, you know, the day that you see your therapist or your psychologist or your, you know, whoever you are seeing, like you have, that's a work day. Like this is like, we need you to do that to be healthy and perform and things like that. So, you know, we take it really seriously. And to be honest, the people that I know that are the healthiest or becoming the healthiest in life are people who are doing work on their brain as well as their physical body.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I had, even with myself at work, when I first started seeing a therapist, I don't know why, but I said it out loud on the floor. And this is a while ago. And at that time, my manager, essentially, he, again, on the floor in a public space, I guess, just said, "Hey, mate, just to say out loud, me and my partner have seen a therapist for years, so just to take away any sort of weirdness for you." And that meant a lot. I appreciated his gesture. And so I took that. And then since then, you know, whenever I've had a therapy session, someone says, "Where are you going?" I'm like, I'm going to therapy. Or I'm going to see, you know, going to see my therapist. And it's funny, the first few times I did it, people didn't really know how to react. And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." I'm like, "Yeah, it's great." So I've just sort of, you know, just one tiny sort of act that I'm sort of paying it forward that my manager at the time had done for me. So just to I guess open that conversation with you know, other people at work, I guess. So we're definitely moving in the right direction, I think.
Yeah. And, you know, it can come from all sorts of things as well. Like it's, you know, one of my colleagues was in toxic work environments, like, you know, they had to get help to come back to work, literally come back to work. You know, friends and colleagues who are on ASD or ADHD spectrums, you know, they need it to just get through their day-to-days and be able to stick up for themselves, to get their employers to realize how differently that they work too.
Yep.
And yeah, for me, with like just letting everything become too much, learning how to recenter myself so that I can actually start functioning bit by bit again. So
yeah, perfect. Do you meditate?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yep.
Really.
Yeah. Cool.
So I think my form of meditation is singing in the car on the way to work.
There we go. What's some belters? You got any regulars?
Oh, depends on the day and the mood.
Friday afternoon. It's a Friday afternoon.
I'm still quite heavily invested in the early 2000s pop punk era. So, you know, anything from Simple Plan, All Time Low, A Day to Remember, The Offspring, Green Day, Jimmy Eat World, you know, anything along those lines is on.
Fall Out Boy in that mix.
Fall Out Boy, and then the Kelly Clarsons and the Pinks.
Yeah. Classics. Good time to be alive.
Yeah, it was great.
Let's excuse me. I missed the mute button with that one. But you've had, we'll dive a bit into your successful career, Michelle. You've one could safely assume you've had plenty of wins. What would you consider one of, or if not, you can label a few. What's some of your biggest wins in your career so far?
That I'm still here 9 years later, probably.
Yeah.
That you know, I took charge, especially more recently, and didn't let the balls completely drop. Like it could have, like it would have seriously been completely and totally, probably completely easier to have just gone, stuff it, get rid of it, walk away. than still be here fighting.
Yeah.
And I think in that, like, I've learned to trust myself a lot and like sit with which is a decision I want to make and like really feel which way I'm going to go, and then own and honor that. And then I need to make the plan to make it work. So that's where I'm at the moment, trying to start 2023 lodgements and make the plan to make sure I still have a business again in 18 months' time.
What does keep you going? To your point before, owning a business, let alone near on a decade, huge success. A lot of people don't even get past 12 months.
Yeah.
So what is your driving force, Michelle? What sort of keeps you going?
There's my responsibility as a mother to be an amazing role model for my daughter. There's a responsibility as a woman to be a great role model for other women. There's a responsibility to my clients to be the person that helps them through what they need to achieve in their lives. And I use responsibility, but it's probably also, that's what makes me driven, because, I feel those things deeply. I want to lead by example, I guess, and show that it can be done.
Talk to me about being a woman in your space, and how your journey has been for you. The good, the bad, the ugly. I guess your perspective. I'm really curious on your experience. Keen to learn more.
Yeah. So, especially myself, I'm a really empathetic person. So I will take on board what another person is feeling in front of me. And I just want to help them, especially where it's pain. I want to help them not feel that pain. And where it's joy, I will be their biggest champion. I will be the, yes, go do that thing. That sounds amazing. That's a great idea. What can I do to help?
Yeah.
So where I feel my journey as a woman has been is that my business doesn't actually work in the same way as what you would expect walking into a accounting practice. I am not clinical. There are, crystals and plants and essential oils and, beautiful paintings and, drawings from our kids and pictures of our family, all over the place. Everything's, pink and, pale and pastel and, lovely to come into. I want to create a welcoming environment for my clients and people that come here, because we have really hard conversations. Like, financial conversations are not easy. Telling someone that they have $50,000 of tax to pay is not easy. But if we can be in an environment that we can go, here's your news, here's what we can do to help you, and let's make it, what can we do to make it better next year? That's what I'm trying to create.
Yeah.
So where, and I've I've tried to do it many, many ways over the years. And I kind of keep coming back to that. Because, there'll be something that's not quite working right in the business. So I'll seek help from a mentor, from a coach, from someone. And what I have actually found is that they make you focus too many steps in front of where you actually are. And this is certainly true for the last 12 months, is that in the business partnership, we were focusing so much on growing it to make sure we had enough revenue to support the business with 2 directors instead of just 1, that we actually didn't end up servicing our clients very well at all. And so in an accounting practice, you can't not meet lodgements, you can't not meet deadlines, you can't not, it's the core. But it's also that's the hard work, that's not the fun work, which is why we were doing growth stuff. Like, that stuff's fun. Actually doing the work is hard and boring, and not why we do what we do. We don't, you have your process. Like, you're 20 years old, you do the hard work, you do the boring work. When you get to being 20 years down the track, you want to do the fun work. You want to do the tax planning with your clients. You want to do wealth growth with them. You want to do in retirement, planning. You want to help them grow. You want to get involved in their businesses and give them ideas and things like that,
Yeah.
Because you're a business, and the advantage of being a business owner accountant is that you are running your own business. So you have the ideas, you're growing in knowledge, and you're learning from your clients too.
Yeah.
So in times where I've had coaches and things like that, they've either done it, they've been a male coach. So they've gone, no, you just go do this and then you will be successful. And it didn't work for me because it was a sales technique that, it just wasn't who I was. So I was trying to do things that weren't me. I had a female business coach who was just, again, making me focus on generating revenue and spending time doing that. And I just lost the focus of the core work that needs to get done. It's not that I haven't learned from them. I definitely have. And a lot of what I've learned will hopefully come back in play when I've got the basic structure back down again. So yeah, I'm in a rebuild. I'm again, because, I went from being in a partnership to being a sole practitioner to in a partnership, and now I'm back to being a sole practitioner. So each of those, each of those 4 different phases has had its own rebuild. So I'm rebuilding again what I rebuilt 12 months ago.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got I got about 8 questions back in my head, Michelle, but I guess let's start with, do you see any, what consistencies do you see as far as both your business and other business owners, I guess, consistencies with success with business, and then obviously on the other side of the coin, consistencies that business owners perhaps miss or don't do, which negatively impacts their business? Have you got any insights on that?
And look, I have been 100% guilty of this as well. Not tracking your numbers. You have to track your numbers. You have to know where your GST is at, where your tax projections at. You have to plan. You have to know, in 5 years I'm going to have to replace this piece of machinery because it's 15 years old and they have a 20-year lifespan. Michelle, how do we buy this new $250,000 piece of equipment? Not when you need the piece of equipment. It needs to be ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, knowing where things need to be done, I think, and not just staying in what's happening right now. So if you are thinking about the forward plan, the what's happening, then I think you're successful. Then you can, you've got a better chance of being successful. If you're just digging through the shit that's every day and not thinking about those things, or, constantly playing catch up, here we are in July 2023, but I haven't yet lodged 22 tax return. How am I supposed to help you with your business if you're not, like, if you're 2 years behind?
Yes.
So, and how are you to know what's going on in your business if you're 2 years behind?
Yeah.
So it's one of my projects for this year, like along with the catching up on the lodgement schedule, which has been like, and like that's not isolated for me either. Like a lot of colleagues that I've spoken to, the lodgement schedule has been the hardest. Like everybody has had their worst year ever on their lodgement schedule that I am speaking to. So I think there is a COVID lag because you know, we spent so much time and like there was just so much knowledge change during that period that I think it's finally caught up on all of us in the tax world, especially. So yeah, like I think a lot of people and a lot of my colleagues that I've spoken to, we're all behind anyway, and now we have to not let the being behind be the thing that allows us to fail. We have to sit down, do that plan, and just like it's going to be a period of really, really hard work for all business.
Yeah,
we're going to have to like think about, you know, everything that's could happen. You know, could there be a recession? Are interest rates going to keep going up? What's going to happen if the property market crashes? Like all those little things that happen and can affect you. What can I do to help proof my business from that?
Yeah. And it's I get the feeling that there need to be a safe bet to say that it's not exactly a set and forget when it comes to taxation and ATO. No. You know, it seems like that's an ongoing, almost full-time job, if not full-time job in and of itself, keeping up with the different changes. I mean, what does that sort of look like, Michelle?
Well, I'm a CPA and a CA, and like in both of those, you know, we've got minimum professional development requirements, and it's not hard to meet them because they're every bloody year. The FBT changes, there's changes to tax, there's laws that go through. This year we're dealing with trust distribution issues and things like that. You know, and then there'll be the crackdown on this or the crackdown on that, and are your clients affected by this? Or then we had all the director penalty notices going out and things like that. And, you know, and all of those things that happen place another stress on us because the clients don't know how to deal with it. So they come to their advisor for it all. So, you know, we have to be on the front foot of all the changes so that we can educate our clients that this is what might be happening. How can we make sure you're ready for it? Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Have you got any favorite stories of one of your clients? Obviously keep their name out, but maybe someone that's sort of, you know, had a difficult sort of period and from your advice, they're able to sort of emerge from it, I guess, into more prosperous, you know, times afterwards.
I know that. I can think of one, and she's an artist, but they also run a bakery. And they came to me a couple of years ago as a new client. And essentially in our meeting, you know, I gave her permission to just be an artist. Like she'd sell a few paintings here and there, but she was really just managing the bakery and stuff like that. And then, and she loves her art. Like she genuinely loves being an artist, and she's a fantastic artist. And I think hearing, like, look, she obviously took it on board herself, but, you know, between me and her husband and her daughter and everyone just going, you just need to do art, she's becoming very successful, and it is becoming very financially fruitful for her. And, you know, they came to me with their, and then this is one of my proactive clients. Like, this is the type of client that I want all the time, because they're not all like that, but, you know, they had dreams and goals and stuff. And they're like, so what do we do? And I'm like, oh, I can help you do that. You know, they're like, we want to buy our premises. I'm like, yeah, we'll set up a super fund to do that. Like, you know, we'll put all the right structures in place to make it the most tax effective that we can. So I love those sorts of clients. They're fun. And then when you can be there to help them give themselves permission to do what they actually love the most, that's rewarding.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
Is she what kind of artist? Like painter?
Painting, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant, unreal. I get excited whenever I hear the stories of genuine artists just being able to be artists, you know, as their full-time gig. That's so good.
Yeah.
Michelle, have you, I guess, in your career, in your journey prior, have you got any influences that sort of come to mind with yourself? Anyone who's sort of inspired you or influenced you throughout your journey?
Oh, probably not so much. Like, there are a couple of people that I lean on when I want to make, like, I need to bounce off ideas with decisions. There are definitely people that I see that I'm like, you got it right. You're doing it, you know, in a sustainable way for you. You know, and the sustainable way for them might not be, I want to earn heaps of money. It might be, I get to pick the kids up at 3:00 every day.
Yep.
So yeah, there's, you know, I've got friends and colleagues that I might look up to. No one particular person. It's always someone for a different reason. So yeah, no one particular person. Like,
Yep. I really love that. You sort of touched on it then, the idea of having, instead of looking for the one person who covers all these different sort of factors in life, I really love the idea of, you know, in whatever it looks like, whether it's relationships, business, marketing, you know, learning to paint, let's say, for example, but finding one person for each of those individual activities to learn from, as opposed to trying to find the one unicorn who's great at everything, because it just doesn't exist.
It don't exist.
Yeah. So have you, I think you mentioned it a little bit before, Michelle, the idea of mentors and coaches, what does that mean for you?
I use them when I think I need them. I will take their advice with a grain of salt. I will do what works for me that I hear from them. And like, I think a lot of the growth, especially that I've done in the last 3 months, is all advice is good advice, but not all advice will work for me.
Yeah.
So I guess that means all advice could be good advice, but not all good advice is going to work for me. And like, no one thing is going to work for everyone. What I do in my accounting practice is not going to work for the person next door. But it needs to work for me so that I can be successful, and it needs to work for my staff so they can be successful as well, so that they can be productive and happy and want to come to work and all of those things. Advocate for me, grow, like, help me grow my business.
Yeah.
So
how important is I guess staff culture when it comes to business and growing businesses?
No, it's critical. Absolutely
critical. Yeah, nice.
Absolutely critical. And I like to think I look after my staff. They tell me that I do.
Yeah.
So, and look, you know, I do my best to create an environment that will support them. If they are not having a good day, then, and they just need to go home and sleep it off, then I send them home, because there's no point in having someone here slogging in themselves, you know, when they are not doing well. And, you know, especially going through my own mental health journey, you know, and things like that. It's like, there's just no, like, if going home and not being here is what makes you better for me tomorrow, and that's better than having you here not today, not being productive, and then not being productive tomorrow, and then not being productive the next day. Go home, get better, come back, be happy.
I like that. There's a rap song in that somewhere, surely. We get some shirts made up. That's brilliant. Well, okay, happiness. There you go, Michelle. What brings you happiness?
Successful outcomes do. You know, the right outcomes, the outcome a client was expecting.
Yeah.
So that would be the work happiness. For me personally, I dance. And that is my social happiness. And my
kind of dancing.
It's calisthenics dance. So it's an Australian Australian team dance sport. So my daughter started doing it, and then they have a masters team for the over 26s, and I'm in the mid-range of the group of our women. But
it sounds difficult.
When she started it is difficult. It's very challenging, and I thoroughly enjoy every minute of it. When she started it, because we use apparatus, we swing rods and clubs. So when she started and was learning how to swing rods and clubs, I'm like, oh, how am I going to know you're doing that right if I don't know how to do it? So I went to the class and did it.
Wow,
so
nice.
I never did this as a kid either. Like, this was like completely left field. So, but it's like it's a hybrid of all of the dancing. Because there's like ballet technique, there's gymnastic technique, there's marching, swinging the rods and clubs. So it does come back to those like original calisthenic principles of like mobility and beauty and grace and strength and power, just in a dance form.
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that for?
2.5 years.
Wow,
so coming into my third competition season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we like compete with other clubs in the state and everything like that. So then we have a big state titles in early September.
That's coming up.
Yeah.
How good.
Yeah. So first comps this weekend, second comps in the middle of August, the state titles is at the start of September.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's good fun. I thoroughly enjoy it and recommend anyone to look it up, because it is so much fun. Sorry, not fun. It's a female sport. Sorry, boys.
Oh, okay. Girl was getting excited. No, fair enough. But no, that sounds incredible. You got your eyes on the state title?
Our team has been state title holders. We're missing a few people this year who are of our better team, but like we went to Pan-Pacs Masters at the Gold Coast as well. So, and like all the teams from Victoria and South Australia and Western Australia come up for those also, and we won 2 medals there last year, so that was pretty cool.
Have you got them in your office, or they?
No, they're at home.
They're at home. Okay, fair enough. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was good fun. Yeah, like it's you know, because it's team sport. It's kind of like footy, but dancing. You're there with a group of women or girls, anywhere between 6 and 16 girls on the team. We actually had like 22 women in our team last year. So like it's camaraderie.
Is that a larger team?
It is a larger team. Yeah.
Okay. What's an average team? Just give me context.
14 or so.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And we're a much smaller team this year. We're only 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of people having a year off for, I'm too old for this shit and I'm not going to do it anymore.
Fair enough. What is that, like 2 years out and they go, oh, I miss it and come back?
Yeah, it's exactly what happens. So
I like that. That. Okay. So what's your favorite? Do you use any tools or programs or even systems, anything that sort of makes your life easier, sort of day to day at the moment?
We use Xero, and we use all of Xero systems, and it makes it very easy to do what we do. So nice. That's probably the biggest one. I'm rebuilding a few systems at the moment because we've had some that haven't worked. So that's part of this, on top of all the other things we have to do this year, it's one of the other things that we have to do. Building a workflow management system and another one, the policies and procedures. Yeah. So rebuilding all of those. They've all every time we change a software, we've got to build a new policy and procedure for it. So we've introduced a couple of new softwares because we also use ATO Mate to deal with all our ATO lodgements and BGL CAS to deal with all our ASIC secretarial stuff. So that's 2 systems we've implemented in the last 12 months. And they all integrate with Xero. And like anything that integrates with Xero, we'll give a go for. So we've got, we never wrote the policies and procedures, the how-tos, the how to get the new staff members in and things like that. So there's a bit of that we have to do this year too. Yeah.
That could be a bit of work.
Yeah. It'll probably be so I've got one of the staff that I have starting for me this year. She worked for me and then went overseas for a few years and she's coming back. So I've hired her again and will probably be something that she helps me with. So
yeah, fair enough.
Because she'll be the one doing a lot of those things. So she'll be able to just write the system as I show her how to do the things. That's my hope anyway. So
nice. This may not help with sort of internal systems, but have you had a play around on Chat GPT or anything as far as to help with efficiencies or anything like that? I haven't had a huge thing to deal with it.
I haven't yet. I'm not scared of it, but don't want to lean on it either. Don't want to find how much it can do for you because that doesn't feel authentically mine. So, anyway, own personal feelings, not.
No, look, that's fair enough. I'm scratching the surface at best, but I'm more intrigued to see how it can help with the mundane sort of day-to-day stuff and to help as far as efficiencies with that side of things. But no hot tips from me, unfortunately. I'll let you know if I stumble on something.
Unfortunately, a lot of what we do, with that ATO Mate software, once upon a time, we'd get a letter in, we'd have to type a letter. It's all templated. So, it pulls the letters in from the ATO, attaches the templated letterhead to it, and just emails it out, redacted to clients. So it's been good.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we have struggled with is, again, we try to use what's the right word? Probably a softer style of talking in our letters and everything. So that's not, you have $20,000 of tax to pay, this is the due date. We'll go, please find something that's goes, this is what it is. It will be due here. If you need help, these are the avenues you can take. Otherwise, reach out. And just catching templates that aren't worded in the way that we talk to our clients is probably the only thing we've had like some stuff go out and the client's like, you don't usually talk to me like this. I was very confronted by it. And genuinely, I actually appreciate that my client has reached out and actually told me that, because I can't fix it unless they do.
Yeah.
And I've actually had quite a few instances in the last 12 months where a client has reached out and said, this is how I felt when this situation happened. And I'm like, I genuinely appreciate you telling me that, because I can't improve if I'm not knowing that's how you're feeling, or I'm not knowing that's what's going on. So, yeah.
That's brilliant. That obviously points to, your relationship with your clients. It's definitely not common practice, Michelle. So you're clearly doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, I like to hope so. I've known most of them for 22 years. So,
wow, that's unreal. That's awesome. So the idea of, I guess, lessons in your career so far, what comes to mind is some of your best lessons, I guess?
Trust myself more.
Right.
I think I actually it feels like it comes to that imposter syndrome sometimes, because, you're enacting things that, you've grown to know over a long period of time, that they just happen naturally and easily. And learning that has value, and that your knowledge is worthwhile, and respecting that knowledge and making sure that you're getting paid for your knowledge properly, I think is one of the biggest things, because what's easy for me is not easy for my client that's sitting in front of me. And while, I have 20 years of knowledge that enables me to just pull that bit of information out to solve a problem, I think as professionals, and especially as accounting professionals, we're probably not charging enough for the knowledge that we have. And not respecting that knowledge that we have. And I think there are times whereby we don't feel like it's a worthwhile knowledge. Who am I to know all these things and charge this much money and things like that? So coming back into that, well, I'm just, winging it till I get it. And we're not, gaining confidence in yourself and your own abilities. So that's one that has come up through the whole 20 years.
Do you find the idea of, it depends on which lens you look through to unpack that, doesn't it? But obviously valuing your time comes up. But I guess the more practical one, or at least the more scary one for a lot of people, is the idea around raising your prices. I guess, is that a consistent thing you found with a lot of your clients as well? The idea or fear around raising prices and who am I to charge that much, that side of things.
Especially in a retail situation as well, whereby, you might not be able to actually charge any more than the sticker price that's on there. Or, if I raise my loaf of bread to $8, am I going to lose 10 people buying my bread? What's the cost in dollar terms? Do I keep a lower profit margin here to ensure that I've at least got 20 people coming in to buy my loaf of bread a day, instead of that dropping to 10 people? Yes, everybody does struggle. especially in I guess like periods of inflation are going to be harder than everything else because wages are never, up there, they're not matched at the same levels.
Yep.
So there's always going to be something that'll give in someone's budget.
Yep.
And it's is that me or is that someone else?
Yeah. I heard this, who did I hear this from? The name will come to me a little bit later and I'll throw it in.
Yeah.
But the idea of raising your prices every 12 months.
Yeah.
Just the government does it, trains and buses and whatever else, like clockwork. And to your point, if people are a bit weird around it, you could literally just pin it to the inflation.
Correct.
Inflation's
it's easy to blame that right at the moment. But
of course.
for everybody to tack on their 10% price increase. I mean, I pay. And like it really comes down to what you value as a person as to how much you're willing to pay. Like, I work on a street where there are a dozen coffee shops, right?
Yep.
But this one particular one for me has the best coffee. Now I can go downstairs and get the same coffee for $6, but I walk 200 meters up the street to this other coffee shop to pay $8 for a coffee. Like, coffees are becoming $8, before July it was $7, and where I could get still the same coffee downstairs for $6, but it's just not as good. So,
yeah.
I don't like,
but isn't that interesting? So, because people will pay for quality, right?
People will, if that's what they value. Or, I buy one coffee a day. It is my guilty pleasure. I like it the way that they do it. So I will go there and pay that. If it goes up to $10, I will probably still pay $10 for the coffee because I enjoy it. I taste it. Makes me happy. I function better from it. I enjoy the walk. It gets me out of the office. So, there's just a lot of things that tack onto it too. So.
Yeah. No, that's unreal. So so it sounds like this year may be a year of not consolidation, but looking at systems, processes, and all that sort of stuff. What is the plan from here? Like, where do you see the business in sort of 5 years' time, do you think?
That's next year's focus.
Perfect.
It actually is a consolidation year. Like, that is the correct word. It is consolidating. It is getting all of the hard things done. It is working through how we make it flow better. And then once I have a solid business base again, then I can allow myself the opportunity to dream where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So it really is I've got to get it all right again. And if I do get it right, then I can dream about where it's going to go. Yep. But I mean, like, obviously in the back of mind, I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do. There's all these things, there's all these ideas, but they become bright, shiny objects. And you start thinking about all the bright, shiny objects instead of focusing on what you have to actually get done in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
So I have a plan for the 12 months. And at the end of that plan, if that plan has been successful, then I can do the next plan for a bigger picture.
Do you see, I guess, other businesses, the idea of shiny object syndrome? So do you
100%.
So do you see other business owners obviously getting distracted, but more getting pulled away from the idea that you just pointed out there of doing the everyday things in business that are sort of proven? Like, are people looking sometimes for a magic pill that I haven't found yet?
Yeah, definitely. Like, everybody wants someone to rescue them, rescue their business, make it all easy, make it not hard, but it's just always going to be hard. It's always going to be It's not always going to be hard. Like, if you like, I mean, I wouldn't still be here doing this if I didn't enjoy what I do. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I do really enjoy giving the advice, having the knowledge, being someone who can share that, being someone who can help my clients through what it is that they're going through or things like that. And I've completely lost my train of thought.
I get the feeling. So one thing that is really important to me, just as a person, is definitely looking at the intent that someone had. However something plays out, good, not so good, everything in between. I constantly remind myself to try and check in what was their intent. Because if the intent was pure, well then you're fine. And I think a common theme that's come up tonight already, Michelle, is your intent with your clients is definitely pure. Like, even that you've pointed to, you prefer to be more empathetic in your approach with your clients. Everything seems a lot more consultative. You know, you're genuinely trying to do the best by them. So that's definitely been a consistent theme of tonight's conversation. So was that I guess, was that a conscious decision for yourself early in the piece, or was it something?
It's just genuinely who I am.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want my business to look like who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want you to come into an environment where you are supported, where you are helped, where you are helped, like, that you come out, like, even though you've had a really hard conversation, you go, that was okay. I got through that conversation. We got through what's happening. I have a plan to pay off my tax debt. You know, that's what I want. And that's who I am in all of the parts of my life.
Yeah.
That's the me, that's the treasurer on the dance committee. That's the me, that's the mum that's there every Saturday gemming costumes. That's the, you know, it's the me that shows up for extra practices with the other women when we're all struggling for the work we're doing at dance. It's
That's awesome.
The high fives and the fist bumps to the people at gym when, you know, we're getting PBs and stuff like that. Like, yeah.
That's brilliant. I've got a couple more questions, Michelle. I guess before I jump into those, is there anything that you'd like to shine a spotlight on that we may not have covered so far?
Probably have touched on it, but I think you do have to have dreams. You might not be able to focus on them right now, but you have to have dreams. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like, you have to have something that you're striving for, whether it's just that next holiday or whatever it is, or whether it's, you know, I need a $5 million super fund to retire, whatever that is for you personally, you have to have something. And my clients don't expect that question when I ask them. I'm like, because it's a question I've started asking. I'm like, well, what are you doing this all for? What do you want?
Yeah.
And I think I think because it hasn't been a question we've asked in the past, and it's something we've only just started asking, because what are you doing? Like, you know, say you want to buy a boat, and that boat's going to cost $150,000, but you only turn over, like, your net profit's only $50,000 a year. It's going to take you forever to get your $150,000 boat. So what can we do to help you in your business to get towards that goal?
Yep.
But you have to have that goal, or we can't do anything, and you're going to get stuck earning $50,000 a year.
And a lot of that is that simply just, all right, sort of reverse engineering almost the
It's
goal
right.
based on maths and
Yep.
yeah.
100%.
What's some advice that you would give to business owners who are trying to navigate this weird and wonderful and crazy and tumultuous and scary and beautiful world of business, that perhaps, don't have the best, I guess, coaches or something available to them, that they're just grinding it out on their own? What are some I guess tried and tested advice that you would put forward?
In this day and age, you need to have an accounting system. You need to have a software behind you. You just can't be done in Excel worksheets anymore. And they're cheap. They start from $120 a year. Every business should be able to afford at least $120 a year. You literally cannot pay payroll now without an accounting system software.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just have to have it. It can't be done without it. And the way that they talk to your bank and things like that with the bank feeds and that it makes it so easy. And probably for my sole traders, it's have a different bloody bank account to your personal account. I don't need to see all your shit that you're buying every day running through your business books.
Mm-hmm.
And using the systems to upload your receipts so you can just chuck them out, take a photo of it, upload it to the document, to the little tag to the whichever system that you're using that attaches it to the transaction, and then get rid of it.
Unreal. Yeah, that's so simple.
And then don't forget about tax. You have to actually, if you want to earn $100 an hour, you have to actually earn $150 an hour to cover your GST, to cover your income tax, so that you have the $100 an hour in your pocket.
Yeah.
Don't forget about it.
Don't forget about tax.
Price it into your prices.
Yeah. Yep. Is that a common myth that people aren't pricing? Okay.
Yeah. And especially in first year of business, forgetting that, I need to save 25% in tax. I can't use all of this. I can't just take it straight out of my business. This isn't all mine.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Very common. And then, then we become the bad guys because we're telling you 18 months later that you've got a $20,000 tax bill. And you're like, well, I don't have any money.
That's a tricky thing to navigate. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's well, and if they're not educated, it's well, that's your fault. I'm like, no, it's not. You didn't come to me till now. Had you been proactive in engaging me as you was commencing your business or getting it set up in the right structure or things like that, you could have saved this amount of tax.
Do you find, or have you found, proactive business owners, how do they differ in regards to results and success, and whatever that looks like for them?
They're more likely to succeed.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're willing to take on the growth of the process. So, they will get the expert, the tax accountant in, or they will get the expert, the lawyer, to do the business contract right, or their lease right, or, they will, if they're buying an existing business, they'll retain the staff because the staff have a lot of the knowledge. So that, you're not coming from behind in things as well. So I genuinely appreciate when my clients reach out before doing something, because there have been times where, I can save you $100,000 in tax if you do something this way. But if you had just gone and done that, you're getting $100,000 tax bill. And and then again, I'm the bad guy because you've got $100,000 tax bill. Like it's happened. Like, I had a client who had a permanent disability. She went blind, and they get to doing their tax with me, and she took $250,000 out of her super, and it gets taxed. She's like, why am I paying so much tax? Because you took it out all at once, and now your income's at $250,000 for the year, not your $450,000. There is nothing I can do about that. Now, I could have told you to take it as a pension in stages instead, and you wouldn't have to have paid all the tax. Yeah. So
that's a tough lesson.
It is. And I lost them as a client, but it's like that is something that is absolutely not anything in my control, because you just didn't seek the right advice. Yeah. And I love the clients that might know the answer, but just check in anyway. And they're the ones I can help. Yeah.
Seek the advice from the experts, and then follow through and follow the advice is probably the second part of that.
Or don't, but know that what the consequences are. Yeah. Because following the advice might not be right for you. You might just have to do what you have to do, but you've at least been educated on the consequences of it, so you know what to expect. Yeah.
Michelle, you've been outstanding tonight, and as I said, the one common theme that definitely shone through loud for myself, that I picked up was your care and love for your clients. So I guess I thank you on behalf of your clients maybe, but that was definitely a strong theme that come through tonight. So I am going to unashamedly commandeer a new idea. I saw this on the Diary of a CEO. He has a tradition where every guest gets to leave a question for the following guest to answer.
Yeah.
And so I saw this on the weekend. I thought, I'm taking that. Thank you, Stephen. I think his name is. So it'll get a little plug every episode, but I'm just blatantly stealing it. That's brilliant. Yeah. What a great idea. So Michelle, what is a new tradition being born this evening? Never been done before. You get the pleasure of leaving any question you like for the following guests. It could be anything at all about anything at all. So what question? Oh yeah, nice.
What makes you keep turning up every day?
Oof. Keep turning up every day. Just writing that down. That's brilliant. What makes you keep turning up every day? That's sensational.
Yeah.
Michelle, all our business owners, if there's business owners looking for advice, where can they find you? Where can they seek you out?
We are in Brisbane. We are in Ascot, so very, very central to everywhere, right near Gateway Motorway, right near the city. And just elowyn.com.au. Nice and
Elowyn,
easy.
Perfect. Can you spell that for everyone?
ELOWYN.
Excellent. elowyn.com.au. Michelle, thank you very much for this evening. I've had an absolute blast. Ladies and gents, if you are after some fantastic tax advice and life advice.
Been through a lot. Can help.
Yeah, perfect. Go and find Michelle, www.elowyn.com.au. Michelle, thank you once again, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
I enjoyed it. Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye.